So, before I get started, I actually want to turn the program over to Shahara, and I'll give you a brief introduction about her. She's going to do our keynote speech on expanding your influence. So, Shahara Downing is a master communicator. As an international corporate trainer and facilitator, she transforms boring and jargon-filled content into entertaining and effective presentations. She teaches corporate professionals proven strategies and tactics to transform their communication skills. Her dynamic personality engages audience both in B2B situations as well as business-to-consumer environments. Her clients include AT&T, Toyota, DirecTV, Verizon Wireless, Samsung, and more. With 15 years' experience, Shahara's skills resonate in the boardroom with CEOs as well in the living rooms of entrepreneurial leaders. Shahara holds a BA in journalism as well as a master's in integrated marketing communications. Let's all welcome Shahara.
All right, DJ Spider, turn that up for me a little bit. I don't know about you. I'm going to use this little space, okay? This is going to be for us right here. All right, I want you all to give yourselves a round of applause. Give a round of applause right now. If you're looking good, if you're feeling good, if you're happy that it's Friday, keep clapping, keep clapping. Yeah! Shout it now! I just saw her this past week, and she was honored at a conference that I spoke at. So I'm feeling good. Thank you, DJ Spider. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the one bringing us all the melodic tunes. Super exciting, so thank you, DJ Spider. I am so excited to be here with you all. She gave me, Deanna, a great intro that runs down my resume, runs down some of my clients, how I'm able to pay my rent, you know. But what's more exciting is the fact that having the opportunity to connect with you all today on this illustrious Friday in order to celebrate some folks who are doing exactly what we all should want to emulate. So as you can see, I saw some people taking some photos, getting it together for Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. The way she leads, and if you take that S off, it's also the way he leads. And I know that we have a lot of great leaders here in this room that I want to acknowledge before I move into this keynote. They call them the leadership giving groups. They're leaders, they give, and now we made them a group. So if you are part of this group, whether you're part of the Young Leaders, please stand. Whether you're part of the Women's Initiative, please stand. And whether or not you're a part of Link, please stand. Let me see you. Where are you at? Ladies and gentlemen, clap for these people. You all stay standing, remain standing, as I take you through this keynote, which is more than just a keynote. It's going to be a little bit of a training. We have a few that are at each of these tables. Y'all stay standing, okay? Don't sit down until I tell you to sit down. Yeah. We have she's ready to sit down. You got your cute shoes on. You can manage. These young individuals, and I always call people young, so we're all young in spirit. I want to say thank you to them. And as you look at them and they sit at your table, use them as an example as I go through my keynote today, okay? Because it's going to be a little bit more of a training, a little bit more interactive. But I want you to have a clear picture of who these people are, and I want to have a clear picture of who these people are. Because when we talk about the power of influence, these folks here are the prime examples of how you use your influence. So give them another round of applause. Y'all can sit down. And also because this is a fashion show, we gotta show off the fashion. So y'all have to stand up so we can see what you look like. That's what it's about. But I want to use them to start when we talk about influence. And I know a lot of times when we think about influence, we tend to think about Kylie Jenner, the Kardashians, maybe Ellen. I love Ellen. Ellen's cool. Or maybe it's actors, perhaps politicians. Maybe we think about influence in the people within our organizations. Maybe they have to be CEOs or some type of big CFO, COO, CPO, CLO. You know? We think about those, no offense to my COOs out here. We think of them as perhaps having the most influence. But no matter what your title, even though status does matter, today I want you to consider and begin to consider your influence. This is Friday. You can go into the weekend and practice and use your influence. Each and every one of you have influence. Each and every one of you are influential. Now, how you use that influence is the question. And what you're using that influence for is another question. Now, when we look at those leaders who are giving, and are all part of those amazing groups, they decided to use their influence financially. They are supporting every 2 weeks, giving a little bit of their check to United Way. Well, that's what this is all about, right? And that's something very passive that they're doing. But we congratulate them for that as well. But they're also using their influence in a way that's not so passive. They may be volunteering their time. They may be asking other people to volunteer their time. There are a number of different reasons why and how you can use your influence. Now, we have a fashion show that is also going to celebrate a number of amazing individuals here at Schlumberger who are using their influence. So with that being said, I need to make a clear definition as to what influence is. Now, I don't know if you know what this is. It's an iPhone. It sometimes detaches from my hand, but most times it does not. And I like to keep my notes on here because I hate standing behind a podium. That just feels weird, okay? So you'll see me refer to my notes. So, the buzzword, influence, we all have it. What is the exact definition? Let's get this going. The definition of influence means that you have the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something. Ooh, that's deep. It means that you have the power to shape policy.
Yeah, that was deep, right? Never thought about that.
It means that you have the power to shape policy, meaning the way that we do things, or ensure favorable treatment from someone, especially through your status, your contacts, or your wealth. I kind of talked about those already. But your status. And your status doesn't have to include an amazing title or a prestigious title to say that you have status. You can establish status at this table already. So if you have something in your heart, something in your space, the way that you live out on a daily basis that gives you status, let me see you raise your hands. If you have status, raise your hand. Status, status. Even status with Delta, okay? If you have frequent flyer miles, if you have status with Delta. Or Southwest, right? Where are my A-listers at? A-list preferred. So if you did raise your hand, I want you to think about that moving forward. Now also your contacts. Perhaps you can influence your contacts. Perhaps because of your contacts, you have influence. Now, I know there's some esteemed contacts that you don't reach out to unless it's absolutely necessary. You're like, I'm going to save that contact for when I really need it. But that means you also have influence. Perhaps your contacts are a number of different people that when you bring them all together, they're even more powerful than that one contact you're holding on real tight to. Make sense? Other way of influence, wealth. Now, I would say how many billionaires do we have in the room, but I'm not even going to go there. But whatever, and however way that you define your wealth, you have the ability to influence people through it. For our givers that are in those groups that I mentioned earlier, they give a very small monetary donation every 2 weeks. But together, that brings about a great amount of wealth that can have a great amount of influence for the things that United Way are trying to do. So already, at the end of the day, you walk out of here full, got a nice little wine in your system, you already know how you can continue to be an influence. Whether it's through your status, through your wealth, or even through your contacts. Do you feel powerful yet? No, not yet? Okay, let's still work on it. Let's work on it. Okay, so what I want you to do is I'm going to take the contacts. Because like I said, I'm not trying to get in everybody's financial business. That's so rude. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about your contacts. All right? Think about them right now. This is active. We're in a training. I want you to think about your contacts. Maybe you have 5 that you know you have influence over. Meaning you know that you can ask them a question and they'll come through with an answer. Maybe you can ask them to be somewhere for you and they'll do it. Maybe you ask them to volunteer their time. Maybe you even ask them, can you pick me up from the airport? I'm coming in town. I want you to think about maybe those 5, maybe those 10. And if you're ambitious, which I know we have a lot of those folks in here, maybe you have 20. 20 people in your contacts that you have influence over. Now, to make this interactive, I know that we all have phones. Some people may have some pen and paper in their purse. If you have 5 people that immediately come to your mind that you have influence over, please write their names down. Please put them in your phone. Let me see some people. Put some phones out. Yeah, there you go. Let me see them. If you have, let's even if you have 3, write down these people now. This is where the value comes from. This is the reason why the people that we're celebrating today are getting celebrated. Because they took even 3 people, 5 people that are in their contacts that they know they have influence over, and they did something with it. But if you haven't really paid attention to the people that you may have influence over, then you don't know where your power is. Then you don't know that you can actually exercise your influence. You writing some people down? Let me see. Melissa, Jennifer, Jessica, all with J's. Oh, not Melissa, but it all rhymed. Y'all are typing good. I'm excited for those of you who are typing now. If you have 5, great. Then you don't have to do anything more. I won't make you work too hard. If you have more than that, then when you go home today, this afternoon, some people maybe have to go back to work. Write those people down. And if you can get up to 20, you are on a roll. That means that you have immense influence just with 20 people. You don't need 20 million followers on Twitter or Instagram to have influence. You don't have to have a nationally syndicated talk show to have influence. Your influence is powerful amongst those 20 people that you decide to write down. Who did you write down? He wrote his wife. Look at that. You're a smart man. You know what? He's like, I know she has resources. He wrote his wife down. Ladies back here, you're the anchor table. Did you write any names down? Who'd you write down? Her sister. Influence comes from family as well. Who'd you write down? So, school. So we're looking at everyday activities. So even outside of work, you have influence. Does that all make sense to everybody? Okay, so now what I want to do, you have some of those people in your mind. You know who they are. If you actively use them, influence them, raise your hand. Raise your hand. Let me see some hands high. I can't see. There we go. Okay, we got a couple. This table, y'all are ambitious. Oh, this is a great table right here. Who's got the best table? Who's actually actively using their contacts to influence them? Okay, good. And for those of you who did not raise your hand, all of a sudden I put my hand on my hip. I don't know why I did that. That's how I knew it was getting real. If you actually have those contacts and you have not been actively reaching out to them, keeping in contact, inviting them to events, inviting them to volunteer with you, if you have not been checking on their well-being, then you're not utilizing your influence. That is a shame. Y'all are having an amazing brunch. You could have invited them here with you today. What? His eyebrows went up. Yeah. Duh. Oh, I didn't think about that. That's where your influence is exercised. By just looking at the 5 contacts, the 15, the 20 contacts and saying, who have I not reached out to yet? Who have I not checked on? Who have I not invited lately? Who have I not incorporated into my project? This is influence. And you can do this in the office, you can do this at home, in your personal life, in your professional life. That's the power of influence. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we got an exercise. You guys go home. If you have 5 people, try to make it 10. If you made it to 20, go take a nap. Okay? You've done some work for the day. All right, so we've done that. And I say sometimes it's difficult to influence people when you actually don't know what you're supposed to influence them for. And that's a crossroads too. You ever been in a space or know someone where they have an extraordinary network, but they don't really utilize it? They kind of just sit passively with it. What's your cause? What's your call to action? What are you passionate about? What are you trying to get done when you're not at work? What is that? Is it United Way? I got you. I saw you reporting. I see. Is it United Way? I'm going to use United Way, obviously, because that's why we're here. But that's a great example. And your company has made it easy for you to have something to give towards, to have something to flex your influence. You can now do that easily starting Monday, maybe even today. So now you have your influence, and now you know where to put your attention to. And if you don't, that's what you have to concentrate on. Now I'm going to skip down to this beautiful space. There's this guy, he's pretty famous. You may know him. He goes by the name of Henry Ford. Totally, that's how we got here today. He has a great quote that says, "Coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success." Now I know we're all here for United Way, but I got another exercise for us to do. And this is going to be great, so you may have to step away from the table. You may have to put a little jumping joint down. Y'all ready? This is going to be fun. No jumping jacks included. We've got on heels, okay? I'm not trying to make us work that hard. All right, so if this pertains to you, then I want you to stand up. Because I want to be clear. I want everybody to see one another. If this pertains to you, then I want you to stand. If you desire fulfillment at work, please stand. You want to be fulfilled when you go to work. You want to feel good when you go to work. You want to feel like you're making a difference. Oh my goodness gracious. I guess if anybody really wanted to sit down, this was not the time. Right? I kind of thought so. That's why I made it. Okay, stay standing. Stay standing. Here we go. If it does not apply to you, then you can sit down. If it's not necessarily an immediate concern of yours, right here, right now, then you can sit down. Oh, we do have one person sitting down. It's okay. She has a broken toe, right? Yeah. All right. If at some point you desire a raise or increased benefits of some sort, please stay standing. Does anybody not want money? I know your toe is broken. It's cool. All right, everybody's still standing. Remember these things too. Stay standing if you desire a title or position that makes you feel good. And not just makes you feel good, but matches your work ethic. I know that we've probably all been in positions where we're doing more work than we were asked to, and we're not getting recognized for it. Because we're not getting that title, we're not getting that position. Okay, good, we're still standing. Stay standing if you want good work-life balance. Who has that? Come on. Some of us do. You're still standing. Here's the final one. Thank you guys for playing along with me. At least you're working your calf muscles. Tighten your core. This is exercise too. Also, remain standing if you desire to be well respected. Yes. Yes. All right, have a sit down. Have a sit down, ladies and gentlemen. All right, now I offer those because there's a correlation between getting those things, attaining those things, having those things, to also being an influence. Now I think on this little program, expanding your influence. Yep, that's what I'm supposed to be talking about. So if those are the things that you want, those are the things that you desire, then it's imperative. It directly correlates with how you exercise your influence. You do not have success by yourself. The people that we're celebrating today did not get to where they are by doing things by themselves.
That's right.
They didn't do these things by keeping their nose down, getting the work done, getting up, going to work, coming home. They didn't do it that way. They did it by looking around them and being a part of something, expanding their contacts, actively expanding their influence. That's how they were able to get this moment of stardom in this beautiful room, the way she leads, the way he leads. I've got some people over here. So that's the thing. If those things that you stood for, if you remain standing for those things, then when I asked whether or not your hand went up, if you were actively engaging your contacts and exercising your influence, then more hands should have gone up. And if your hand didn't go up, it's okay. You can start today. You can start today. It's not too late. You can leave here at this banquet and understand that you have more power than you think you know. And if you know you have the power, now you can challenge yourself to exercise it a little bit more. Imagine if you just walked into rooms like this all the time. I don't know. 7-year-olds do it, and we think it's cute. But if I did it, you think something's wrong with me. Like, hey, Deanna, don't bring that girl back here no more. But that's the way it should feel on the inside. That when you approach your friend, when you go to Melissa this weekend, and say, Melissa, you know, I went to this really nice lunch, and next time I want you to come with me. Okay, sure, tell me when. I'll be there. And then she gets there. And then you realize that you just did her a favor. And then by bringing her in, expanding your influence, and then she participates, you do United Way a favor. It's not really a favor, it's just doing good. Doing good feels good. So if you're looking for that promotion, the notoriety, the increase in pay, if you're looking for fulfillment in your work, even in the positions that you already have, if you're looking to really feel good about what you do, both professionally and personally, you have to learn how to expand your influence, dig into those 5, 15, 10 contacts, maybe 20, and then you have to invite them, move them, bring them along, contribute, connect, collaborate. Does that make sense to everybody? Does everybody feel like they got something they can practice when they go home?
Yes.
Yeah? How about this table? My chatty chatties. You guys feel powerful today? Why? Why? Somebody talk to them after this is done. If anybody needs some influence, they got it. But you know they have influence because they're connecting with one another too. So that's a great place to start. So ladies and gentlemen, I try to keep things short because if I get tired of talking, that probably means you're tired of listening. And I definitely wanted to make this message very clear, very actionable, so that you can go back and then do it. And you can go back and exercise it. So that little piece of paper where it says expand your influence, know what's in it for you. What's in it for you is for all the things that you stood for. And if you want to remain standing for those things, then continue to expand your influence.